So I'm with Professor Ramani Narayan, who is the go-to expert on bioplastics, Michigan State University. Very interesting presentation this morning, probing and asking questions of the industry and in terms of reference, I think. Can you just, to start with, explain the difference between compostability and biodegradability?
Yes. So biodegradability is a broad terminology, and it's an unqualified claim. Everything is biodegradable. Given time, given the right environment, it is biodegradable. And compostability simply qualifies the biodegradability term. In other words, it's saying that it's biodegradable under a composting environment in 180 days. It has no toxicity effects and can make good compost. So it's not that compostability is different from biodegradability. It is simply a qualifier. It's putting the boundary conditions around biodegradability so that it is usable in the marketplace.
Do you think we'd be better served if we just got rid of the expression biodegradability?
It's a very provocative question. The word biodegradable is so loved by every stakeholder that getting rid of it is going to be difficult. But absolutely, the word biodegradable conveys all sorts of things which is not capable of delivering. The state of California, as you know, has banned the use of the word biodegradable. It will prosecute people who put a label biodegradable. Even a qualified label is not allowed there, which to me makes sense because they're saying that it's a lot of misuse and abuse of the term biodegradable.
I think the problem is we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because I take your point that everything in time biodegrades, even the single-use plastic bag after 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Fair enough. The problem is both terms are loaded with some kind of expectation. And I think compostability is the sort of thing that we all do in the garden. So it tends to suggest that it's a far faster process than it often is.
Yeah. So that's why the qualifier even for compostability is industrial composting process. And unless you have an industrial composting process and make sure that the compostable plastics, which I call is the enabler for diverting the vast amount of food and other waste into a managed end-of-life option rather than just bury it in a landfill. Or even if you do composting in your garden, if you don't manage it well, then you're going to produce methane, which is, as you know, 23 times worse as a global warming gas. So clearly, compostability, industrial compostability is a mechanism, end-of-life option, which is going to help not just the compostable plastics, because it doesn't have anything to do with compostable plastics. It is dealing with the food and other bio-waste.
If we're stumbling about with this terminology in this room, what is this doing to the consumer?
The consumer just goes by, that's why biodegradable sounds so good, and you don't find this industry wanting to leave it because the word bio, there's got to be some mystical connection between the brain and the word bio because everybody seems to want to like it. And if you said this is a biodegradable product, whatever it is, they seem to think this is good for the environment, it is good for the person, and it's almost magical, right? But unfortunately, biodegradability is not a magical solution for end of life.
Well, actually, it's a meaningless word.
Yes, tell that to all the consumers. But if we continue to have misuse of the word, and more of this comes to light, then it will go down, right? So which is bad, which is not going to be good for the industry because you're shooting yourself in the foot by the misuse of these words.
And because it's not delivering what people expect it to deliver.
Exactly. And also it is not that the industry, the recognized bioplastics industry as represented by people in this room and by other who are doing it wrong. They are following the standards and truly have a biodegradable under composting conditions product. It's the others who jump in with claims and products which are totally not compostable or even biodegradable.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that a fossil fuel-based plastic is biodegradable. Biodegradable is a word that's been requisitioned by the bioplastics community. And also, I think consumers assume everything that's bioplastics is biodegradable, or rather compostable, let's say.
Yes. So this is where you want the industry has to be very cautionary, right? We are claiming compostable plastics, but if these plastics, along with the food and other things, doesn't end up in composting systems and properly assimilated by the microorganisms, this will come back to haunt us, right?
Well, I've got you. Can I just fire one more question at you? I'm completely outside of this, but somebody yesterday, Marks and Spencer's in fact, said that their aspiration was to go for a single polymer, a polymer for all purposes. Is that realistic?
No, a single polymer for all purposes is not realistic. But maybe what he was trying to interest people in is that a polyester, for example. For example, I was very intrigued with the concept of a single polymer. But I don't take it literally single polymer, but a class, a polymer class. So if I take a look at polyesters in general, PET, which is very well used, and clones of PET, different groups, but still having the same ester class. It's a single polymer class. It can become a very dominant, it can play a very dominant role in the packaging and in the other use area. So coming close to it, but not literally saying I must have a single polymer, but that is unrealistic too.
What do you think is going to happen with PEF?
PEF will continue to, because it has got good barrier performance properties, so PEF will be used not for the not necessarily the bio-based component or the bio-based content or the value proposition of bio-based comes along for the ride. The performance of PEF in some barrier packaging, especially for juices and other drinks, is so attractive that as a material for using for packaging, it will definitely make it into the marketplace.
Can you see it being used for flexibles? I'm thinking stand-up pouches, barrier pouches.
The flex packaging, which is multi-layer laminates and all, has to go to a structure where all the layers are compostable. And I don't know whether the PEF barrier will, say, compete with, say, PVOH or the old and tried cellophane, the cellulose polymer. They would certainly give you better performance. So it's in the running. It could be used. But I think PEF will find its primary use in molded products for products which will require high barrier applications.
It's a rigid plastic.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
You.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.